The 3 videos you just saw are people that are struggling with life and who are experiencing depression. And I think I know why. My name is Ryan. Last year, over a 6-month period, I uploaded 14 videos to my YouTube channel. And over the last 6 months, I have grown my TikTok page to over 5,000 followers. I've experienced on and off depression in my life. There's been periods where I've had many friends in my life and a thriving social life, and I've also had periods of no friends. Despite that, each and every time that I've had depression, I've come out of the depression. And over these times and over these experiences, I've learnt a bit about what makes me go into depression, what kind of person I am under depression, what kind of person I am when I'm not depressed, and how to get out of depression. The first thing I want to do is I want to introduce you to the 3 people that you saw at the start of the video. I think, and I also kind of know, that this is what a lot of you are feeling. And that's why these videos blow up. All of these videos, if you look at the views and the comments, people are relating to this. This is something that people are feeling. And me, like you, can relate to them. And because I can relate to them, and because I know what they're feeling, I know what they're lacking. I want to introduce you guys to some science, and specifically this chemical known as delta phos-B. You guys are probably familiar with the chemical dopamine, but there's an antagonist chemical known as delta phos-B. This is released as dopamine is released with a slight delay. Each time there's a spike in dopamine, delta phos-B will also be released into the body. The interesting thing about these 2 chemicals is that dopamine will leave the body quickly, whereas delta phos-B will not leave the body quickly. And the other thing about delta phos-B is it kind of makes us blind to dopamine. What I meant when I said it's an antagonist chemical is that as delta phos-B rises, our sensitivity to dopamine lowers, meaning that we cannot feel dopamine as strongly as we could before. So this line of delta phos-B going up, we can sort of imagine that as the amount of dopamine that we need to feel something. So when we are below the amount of delta phos-B, we feel nothing. But when our dopamine spikes above this line, that is where we feel something. We feel motivated and we feel good, and we feel like we want to do and achieve things. So down here, when we feel nothing, that's when we feel like nothing is motivating, and say things like nothing feels good anymore and nothing is gratifying. And in other words, when you are down here in this zone, that is what we call depression. And as this line rises and as it becomes higher, the problem gets worse and worse and worse. And when it gets worse, only the most intense things are able to make us feel anything. Only the really high spikes can make us feel something. And usually what that means is that only Instagram Reels and YouTube videos, or maybe like anime, League of Legends, Instagram Reels, YouTube, it means that in order to just feel something, we need to do things with more and more magnitude. And what does that mean for everyday activities? They make us feel nothing. And that's a problem. And I'm going to tell you what that meant in my behavior. What that meant for my behavior is that the basic normal things in life no longer made me feel anything, because my level of that chemical was too high, such that basic things like going to eat something, like talking about some meaningless stuff to a coworker or to a regular friend, or messaging a friend, or organizing a time to get together, all of those things no longer felt as gratifying as they used to, which is maybe something that sounds familiar to to what other people have described with their experience with depression. Those little things that are important to building a fulfilling and thriving social life, they're no longer gratifying to us, and therefore we abandon them. And that's what happened to me. I would go to work, I would go to do my regular activities that I was doing, and talking these little meaningless conversations that were what the foundation of building future relationships, I was no longer interested in them, and they no longer gratified me. In fact, I wanted to leave them most of the time. I wanted any excuse to get away from them because they didn't make me feel anything at all. And what did that mean for me? It means all my relationships. There was no foundation that was helping me build relationships. I mean, it's obvious when you think about it. If you don't want to talk to people and you're trying to get away from people all the time, why are they going to add you to their social circle? Why do they want to see you more often? If you don't care about talking to them, why do they want to be friends with you? I mean, it makes sense. So the result of that is your relationships deteriorate and they fade over time. You lose the friends that you once have, which is fine. Like, life changes and we lose friends, but not if you lose all your friends. We're social creatures. We love to be part of a community. Community is so important. I think there's this one study which showed that the people that live the longest and the healthiest lives out of anyone on planet Earth were these people that they smoked, they drank, they did all this unhealthy stuff, but they had the most tight-knit community of any people on our planet, and community was the thing that they valued. The social interactions and the little meaningless stuff that keeps us together. And that's what we lost. That's what we lost. But I'm not going to leave it at that. It's sad that we no longer enjoy the meaningless things in life. It's sad that we lost friends that maybe we once had, and maybe we can get back. But I'm going to give you solutions. These are things that you do in your life right now to both start feeling things again and to build your social life. So the first issue is, how do you get off your phone? And we know from studies that quitting cold turkey does not really work in most cases because the withdrawal symptoms are far too much, and bodies become accustomed to certain dopamine levels. And if you totally quit and leave everything, the gap in what you're used to and what you currently have is far too big. And it's an extremely painful and uncomfortable endeavor. And I don't think we really want to go through pain generally. So instead of quitting cold turkey, what we do is we replace it with something healthier. And it can range from anything marginally healthier to very, very healthy. For example, you could replace watching reels in your phone with doing exercise in the best case scenario, but not everyone likes exercise or running, etc. Maybe you could put on a long form informative video like a documentary, or maybe you could do a long form version of a TV show just to slightly scratch your itch, but it's still a lot better than scrolling through multiple reels or opening multiple videos on your phone. In a better case scenario, you can find an activity that you can do with other people, like a sporting activity or gymnastics or acrobatics, etc. Something where you can be with other people and enjoy your time while doing something a bit more healthy than scrolling on your phone. And the second thing that I can recommend, if this doesn't really work and if doing something else doesn't really help, you need to find a way to block the activity in your life. You have to block your access to your phone somehow. And the way that I found to do that is this app that they use for ADHD people. And I found it to actually work really effectively. There's a couple of different types of these, but there's one called Flora that I use. And it's a screen blocking app effectively, which means that you don't open up anything else in your phone. And the other thing that I'm going to recommend is to start building your social life. To go from no friends to having many friends, or just some friends that care about you, just making progress ultimately. And how to grow your social life, what I'm going to recommend is choose 1 or 2 real life activities that you can do with someone. This could be like kickboxing. This could be like acrobatics or gymnastics. This could be like a reading club. This could be like improv acting groups, which I thought were really interesting, but I actually never got into. Or it could be like sports. You could also join online communities, but I think online communities aren't quite the same as the experience that you get living with other people. The experience that you get joining these groups is that it integrates other people into your life naturally. And ultimately, that's where friendship comes from. That's how we build experiences together, and that's how we build connection, ultimately. But it doesn't have to be one of these activities. It can be any hobby, really. Just find your community for any comment. For example, if you're really, really into gaming and that's your hobby, well, they have plenty of gaming events throughout the year. And that's when you can meet other people in real life who enjoy that. I mean, gaming's online, so it's not perfectly ideal in terms of mental health outcomes, but it's still better to have a community. That probably brings me to the end of the video. Build your social life from building activities, preferably in real life, and making friends with those people in those activities. As well as if you're going to school or university, find people doing the same things as you. They have a basis to relate to you, and you start to build friendships as you build experiences with them over time. And as well as that, start getting off the things that are making you insensitive to dopamine, so you can start to feel and enjoy the basic things again. And that will make this easier, and that will make this easier, because you will start enjoying the little meaningless things that you do with your friends, and you'll start enjoying life as well, because your depression will go, because now boring things in life are now enjoyable to you. So that video was really scattered, but that is how you cure your depression, basically. And now, after all that's happened, I don't even have the friendship group that I used to have, but I'm still doing a lot better in life, and I'm enjoying life. I love the way that my life is currently. If you listen to this whole video, it means that you're probably on your way to a really healthy life. That makes me happy, and it makes you happy too. And on that note, I'll see you in the next one.